Hey all, Tatsu here, and I've never done a physical deck profile before, so figured why not, right? I mean, I've uploaded deck profiles on the channel, obviously, but those were both on Tabletop Simulator, and this is real life. So of course Touken Ranbu is my favorite clan in Cardfight Vanguard, so obviously I had to build a deck when overDress Touken Ranbu came up. So obviously the deck is focused on Kashuu Kiyomitsu, which is the starter deck ride line. So start off the ride deck. It's honestly just pretty unchanged from the actual trial deck. You got your Kashuu Kiyomitsu starter, you got the grade 1 when it's written by the grade 2, you check the top card of your deck. You can put it into Soul or you can leave it there. I pretty much always put it into Soul unless it's like a crit or overtrigger. We got the grade 2 when it's written over by the grade 3. We get to search our deck for a copy of Yamato no Kami Yasasada. And yeah, it's really good. And the grade 3, when you have no face-up damage, you get to give him plus 10k. It's continuous ability during your turn. And once per turn, you get to counter plus 1, soul blast 1. Look at the top card of your deck, put it on top or bottom, and then draw a card. So you know, just really solid, especially if you see something on top that you like want to draw. It's really solid. So we're running 3 copies of, in the main deck, we're running 3 copies of Kashuu. Obviously for Persona Ride, you do want to be Persona Riding most of the time. But if you miss Persona Ride, it's not a big deal, and I'll explain that in a bit. We're running 4 copies of Yamato no Kami Yasasada. It's just a really easy way to drain your Counterblast for the plus 10k. For Kashuu skill, he gets plus 10k for Counterblast 1 pretty much infinitely, as long as you're on the grade 3. So that's really solid. And yeah, you search him out from the deck when you go to ride deck, so you're pretty much always going to have him in hand at least once per game. This next card is why I don't really care about missing Persona Ride. 3 copies of Shoku Daikiri Mitsutada. Basically, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, when you play him from hand to rearguard circle, you can counterblast 1 to give your front row plus 5k. So you get like half a Persona Ride for 1 counterblast, which is really solid. And then he has on-hit Vanguard. When he hits a Vanguard, you soul blast 1 to retire something. So it's a little bit of retire, which is kind of cool. But you know, plus 5k for 1 counterblast to the whole front row is just really solid. And don't really need more than 3. You can cut 1 if you wanted. You could run Mikazuki Minechika. He's a really solid card, and I thought about it. But he causes Soul Blast with his skill, and Soul is a little more resource intensive. You know, it's like not as farmable in this deck as Counterblast like naturally is. So yeah, you don't tend to have that much soul to work with. You do have to be a little conservative with your soul in this deck, because pretty much your only soul charge is the grade 1 from the ride deck and riding from Persona Ride. We're running 3 copies of Kogara Sumaru. Pretty much he just lets you keep your overtrigger when you drive check it. I think it's when you damage check it as well, but it just says as long as if it's in the front row, When your overtrigger would be removed by its trigger effect, you may put it into your hand instead of removing it. So I'm pretty sure that also includes damage checking it as well. But yeah, being able to keep your overtrigger so you can actually use the order is really solid. We're running 3 copies of Yamabushi Kunihito. Bit of an underrated card in the set, in my opinion. His skill is that if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater on Guardian Circle, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, he is a 10k shield. So from intercept and from just playing it from your hand, he has a 10k shield, which is really solid in overdress, since we don't have a lot of 10k shields. So he's just a really great defensive card. And when he's retired from Rearguard or from Guardian Circle, you can actually Soul Blast 1 to put him on the bottom of your deck instead of him going to drop. So you have a little bit of recycling, and yeah, he's just a really solid card. And also a really pretty token Ranbu red. Like, this is nice. Finally, for the grade 2s, we're running 2 copies of Hishikiri Hasebe. You know, he's just from the trial deck. You put him down, you check top 2, and you reorganize them. Pretty solid for just more deck manipulation. He helps control, like, he helps you see what the card under the top card is when you go to do this, so you can kind of control more of like what you want to draw into and stuff like that. So it's actually pretty solid for that. We're running, for the grade 1s, we're running 3 copies of Monoyoshi Sadamune. In the back row, rearguard circles, if he gets a trigger power, he doubles it. So your 10k triggers become 20k. This also includes overtrigger, so if you check overtrigger, you put the power on him, he makes it 200 mil instead of 100 mil. The only niche application you can actually use that for is if you drive check overtrigger and your opponent damage checks overtrigger. You have to have like a little foresight, like, but, you know, it's whatever. But you can put it on you can put it on him and make it 200 mil, which is still like something to consider. We're running 3 copies of Hyuga Masamune. Pretty much what he does is when your opponent's Vanguard, when your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, when he's placed, you just look at the top part of your deck and you put it on top or bottom. Just really solid. A little extra way to help with your little deck manipulation. Yeah, just really good. We're running 2 copies of Katagiriga. When he's on Rearguard Circle, when your Vanguard's attacked, you can Soul Blast 1 to move him to Guardian Circle. So he's just like a free back row intercept for Soul Blast 1, so it's not really free, but you know, it's just a little bit of extra defensive power that you can place on the board and still not have, so you're putting it on the field and you're not actually like risking having less shield value in your hand because you can just Soul Blast 1 and put him on Guardian Circle. Finally, for grade 1s, we're just running 4 of the PG Hakusanyo Shimizu. Fucking mouthful of a name. But yeah, you know, PG is PG. He's free if you have 1 or less card in your hand. You know what it is, it's Ono overdress PG. For triggers, we're running one over trigger, because duh, when you play as an order, if you have 5 damage, it like, gives 10k to everything, which is amazing. And it gives you a Vanguard +1 crit, just in general. But then if you drive check it, it gives all of your stuff +1 crit, which is pretty nice. So yeah, obviously you want to be hopefully drive checking it with this on the field. And with our little bit of deck manipulation, probably could reliably get over trigger on top, which is pretty solid. We're running 4, 5 crits. Of course, this gives us crits no matter what, but I'm not like wanting more than 5. Just because of like how big our attacks can get, so it doesn't actually matter that we're not running as many crits, especially because we're running 6 fronts. I just prefer 6 fronts to like 6 crits and 5 fronts, or like 7 crit and 3 fronts or whatever. These act as kind of extra persona ride on drive checks, and you know, they help us get really big swings. The only thing is they don't really help with Monoyoshi, just because he can't get the front trigger, but he can get the power from the crits. So you can run more crits if you want, but like, I don't know. I just like the fronts right now. And at the end of the day, it's all 15k shield. And then finally, we're just running 4 heals. Because duh, why wouldn't we be running heals? Wouldn't make sense not to run heals in this list. There is a triple rare that has a heal 1 condition, which is pretty neat, but it's not a great card, and I don't think the effect was like that easy to do, so I wouldn't bother playing around with that too much. Yeah, that's the list. It's fairly solid. I would like to mention that this is purely a casual deck. I'm sure Gravidio destroys this. I'm sure Bruce and Loro kind of destroyed this list a lot. I imagine we wouldn't have too much of a hard time against the Sentinel Restrict, just because we have our 10k shield guy and our Soul Blast 1 interceptors, so that could be okay, but like, you know, obviously, you know, against the main nations, especially in set 3, this is a bit of an uphill battle. But I love the clan, I love Touken Ranbu as a series, so I'm just gonna keep playing it for a while. But in set 4, there's just no competition. Although fucking nations are like way better in set 4 than Touken Ranbu. Hell, I think even Shaman King set 1 struggles against the set 4 decks, so, you know. But yeah, set 4 comes out, what, next week? Which is pretty exciting. So we'll have to see what happens, and I can't wait to play set 4, but until then, I go Touken Ranbu. So thanks for watching, like, subscribe, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, do whatever the fuck you want, I don't really care. Goodbye.